Hello, everyone. This is Jovonni Christian, the host of The Beginning of the Never Ending. In this chapter, we archive the story of Cole Mendez. In his origin story as an Italian-Mexican adventurer, you will hear a nice journey in the pursuit of home. Even with the challenges of being a kid, becoming a father, a husband, and a worker all at the same time, he not only provides, but also thrives in his life. He became a shareholder of a brewery, an owner of a home, a family guy, but most importantly, he went from being a kid to becoming a man. In this chapter, we have an art donation by me. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but hey, Mr. Mendez chose it himself, so you know it can't be that bad, right? So we would like to take a moment to ask our community to watch this story through its entirety. If you find any value, please watch future shows and on our After Dark channel. We also have a Discord. If you would like to join our community, please check out the description below. And if you're an artist and would like to donate, your paintings, potentially be featured on the show, you can message our moderators on Discord as well. If you like the show and want to watch it live, we host it every Monday, every Friday, every Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So please, join our chat, get involved. You never know, you might be invited again on the show. Thank you again for all the support. Without further ado, Mr. Cole Daniel Mendez. What up? Hello, everybody. This is your boy, Gio. Welcome to the show. This is the beginning of the never ending, and we're going to be jumping into the story of a really, really good friend of mine, and I'm really excited to reconnect. Mr. Cole Mendez. How you doing, my friend?
Doing very well.
For those who don't know, this is the goal of understanding the life and to archive as many lives as possible. Going into depth about your life and who you are and what's going on, and hopefully finding out a little bit more about you. And so I'm really excited to get to know your story, to jump into it, and really go in depth with it all. But the first thing we like to jump into is, where does it all begin? Where's your nationality? I actually don't even really know that. Or is that like a thing, right? Ethnicity, nationality, right? Ancestry?
I guess, nationality, American, ethnicity. My father's side of the family was Mexican, full Mexican.
Whoa.
And my mother's side of the family, she is Italian and German. So going farther back, my dad's dad, Leonidas Mendez, and his family, the Cañas. Well, the Mendezes came over. My dad's second generation Californian.
Oh, yo.
And then he met my grandmother Hope. So that's the Mendez family. They're all out in Monterey Park.
Oh, yo.
So whenever we did holidays, we'd always jam out there. And then my mom's father, August Grederman. We always called him Grandpa Gus. He lived in West Covina. And her mother, Paula Lombardo, they lived together in West Covina, and then they separated, and Paula moved up to, Auburn, California, so NorCal. And a lot of my cousins from that side of the family are all up there. And then my grandpa, Gus, and his wife, Alice, they lived in West Covina until they both passed away.
You said your grandpa, Gus, and that's on your mother's side, right?
That's on my mother's side, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever get to meet your grandfather and grandmother from your father's side? I know they're down from Mexico.
My grandfather or my grandmother from my dad, she's still kicking around. She's about 78.
Yo, they're excited. They don't make them like they used to, man.
They don't.
They be surviving.
Oh, she told me she worked all the way up until the COVID shutdown. At a Kohl's or something, Macy's, as a greeter. She just never stopped.
Hard workers.
My grandfather Leonidas, they always called him Sonny. He passed away like a year or two before I was born, so I never got to meet him. My sister met him, but, she was an infant.
Sure. Can you describe your grandmother?
Grandma Hope, just very quiet, very stern. She's got that penetrating look like, do not mess up around me. because the love I show you as my grandkid will immediately turn into fury. Never had to experience that, but I've heard stories.
Sure.
She's got the fury. And then I guess my grandpa was funny, being a Mexican guy, and he would rip on Mexicans all the time. And Chinese people. Don't know why. Living in Monterey Park, which was just like the fucking mecca of, Chinese Los Angeles.
And this is Mr. Gus, right?
No, this is Grandpa Sonny, yeah.
Sonny.
Yeah, and he's just like, ugh, they make great food, but I just fucking can't stand it. I was like, I hear these stories. I'm like, that's the weirdest xenophobia I've ever heard.
Right. It feels good. I know a lot of people talk smack, but like when you're older, especially from a different generation, it's coming from a different place.
It really is.
It's not demonization or something. It's more just like,
Yeah.
It's just like kind of shooting the obvious.
It was very personal.
Yeah. Like, yo, what's going on? That's awesome. And how would you describe kind of, Gus from your mother's side? And
Gus was just, he was a World War II vet. He was definitely just like really stone-faced. He loved jazz. I never had an appreciation for jazz until recently. Whenever we'd go over his house, he'd always play cards and smoke cigarettes with my parents and just have that underlying jazz stuff going on. And his wife, Alice, she was just a great homemaker, made us feel really loved. Made us feel like that was my grandma until I would go and see my mom's actual mom. We always called her Nani. She was the Italian too. So she painted. She knew how to do every kind of craft you could think of. She played music.
Oh, wow.
She gardened. She basically taught all of us kids, our weird little hobbies that we've all just, like, she taught me how to make dream catchers. And she told me, she's like, oh, I used to bang this Native American dude for years, and he taught me all these things. And I was like, she didn't say bang, but, when you're dating for 10, 15 years, I would hope you bang.
That's awesome. And I hope that you said they were down in what city did you say? Monterey Bay, right?
Monterey Park was my dad's side of the family, and then West Covina. And that's where my mom and dad met, was in Covina.
And then Monterey Park. So I would love to dive into this world, because one of the things I find is really interesting, especially about grandparents, is that there's a little taste of them in your parents. They always kind of leave something with them.
Oh yeah.
Because whether you met them or not, and obviously when you're growing up in your childhood, there's a certain perspective you have, especially in your younger years of your parents, because they're like low-key God to you in a way.
Yeah.
How would you describe kind of your father, coming from kind of a funny grandfather, and coming from a kind of pretty stern but quiet grandmother?
How I would describe him with those attributes is it made him very firm on his decision making. It made him very fair. But in that, it also lent to his, I wouldn't say anger, but more, he wasn't quick to anger, but when he was mad, he was furious. It was just you'd get the yell.
Sure. Sure. And was your mother kind of like the opposite, or was she a little bit on the same vein?
No, because both of her parents were, she was one of 7 kids, and my dad was one of 4. So, and she was number 6 or number 5. Yeah, she was number 5, and then Pete and Raymond were the 2 youngest ones. But being that low on the pole, you're always kind of grasping for your take of the spotlight, as the kid. And that generation goes it's like a 20-year gap from my oldest aunt down to my Uncle Raymond.
So you have a fairly big family then.
Fairly. There's how many cousins are there between the 2 families? I want to say there's like 10 of us as cousins.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So my dad was the oldest, and then Annette, Fernando, who had 2 kids, and Annette had 2 kids. My dad had 3, and then Peter didn't have any kids, so that's 8. And then Paula, Joey, CJ, Alex, Danny, Nathan, and I don't think I'm missing anybody.
Yo, the fact that you could just pull that out like that is wild to me.
It's only 11 people, but I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anybody.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because, family, as they grow larger, they tend to get, separated. Were you around your family a lot when you were little?
Yeah, I'd say as much as anyone else. And my cousins from my dad's side lived in Ontario. So that was always a quick, drive over. The cousins from my mom's side of the family, they were always either like in Arizona, Northern California, or Washington. So seeing them wasn't really that common. My sister got a lot more time with the cousins because they were all closer together. I'm probably 3 years younger than everyone, and then my younger brother is 3 years younger than me, and he's technically the baby. So yeah, I'd say we saw each other fairly frequently as children, and I'd say, in the teenage years, it really just dispersed. All my older cousins were, adults. And
she's on the tail end. She's like 5 years, so she's definitely kind of towards the tail end. And then your pops as well. You were describing your mother, kind of like her personality being the kind of youngest. She was kind of striving for attention.
Yeah, not strive for attention, but she was definitely not a pushover of a human. Whatever she wanted, she knew how to get it, respectfully, righteously. But again, man, you get the older generation of parents. They lend to how they would react to their kids. My mom and dad were basically at the same level, chill all the time, very forgiving, understanding. As soon as the mistake happened, it's just like immediate. You're getting spanked. You're getting yelled at. You're getting told what you did wrong. And my mom, actually, she was joking about it. She was like, it didn't matter how hard I spanked Cole, though. He would just laugh. And I was like, I don't know why, dude. I don't know why. Most kids get spanked, they cry. She was just like, you just laugh like
Run
an
that
asshole.
back. Wait, hold up. There has to be a story behind this. Like, what's going on?
And who is she talking to? She was talking to one of our other coworkers. And again, I work with my mom.
Right.
She's a logistics person. I'm a mechanic. So she was talking to like one of the office people, and she was just like, Cole's a good kid, but when he was a child, punishing him was just like, it had no effect at all. She's like, I'd wail on his ass. I'd take his stuff away. I'd punish him. I'd punish him like a parent, and he would just laugh, or it just wouldn't even affect him. Like, he would just come back to it like, okay, cool. Let's continue.
So then describe yourself. What type of kid were you?
I was just I was just a little fat kid that just hung out at home and played around with the neighborhood kids. Kept to myself. I grew up with some really good friends in the neighborhood, and my little brother, and I took a lot of care of my older sister. She's minorly physically handicapped, but I was like her arms and legs. I'd go and get her stuff or whatever. So definitely as a young. I wouldn't say a young child. I'd say like between the ages of 7 and 12, I had a lot of responsibility because I had to help my older sister, but I also had to take care of my younger brother. And when we were in school together, it was just like, I got to get him on the bus or else I am going to get killed. And when I get home, I need to make sure if my sister needs anything done, I need to go help her. I need to take care of the house. Both my parents worked. So I just to me, that was normal. I just grew up normal. Nothing too flashy. I was in karate for like a year, obviously. Being fat and unathletic didn't really work out. Then the internet came along, and that was terrible. Never should have done that, spread that through society. But my brother really got into like the whole online video gaming thing. I just couldn't get into it.
Sure.
I wasn't that good.
Hey, man, hand-eye coordination is not as easy as it looks, man. These kids now got these shooting games. They were doing 360 no scopes. It's barely hard enough just to.
Dude, my kid could kill it on Fortnite, but if I put him in front of Super Mario World 3 on Super Nintendo, he is just like, the brain cell just stops. He just can't comprehend, like, you only move in one direction, and if you don't run and jump, you're just going to fucking die.
You don't understand. You don't understand how hard this is.
And it's only 2 buttons. These guys, they're using all 10 fingers on Fortnite. I'm using this and it does
it's hard to
doesn't compute for him, and I'm like, bro.
I love this. So what was your kind of like, what was your outlet as a kid?
Definitely in elementary school, I would draw a lot, and I would play like Yoshi's Island. That was my shit. In middle school, the drawing continued, and then I got a guitar for like my 11th or 12th birthday. So I never really put too much time into it, but I always had it.
Sure.
And then I always had friends in the neighborhood, so we would just, play touch football in the street or go ride our bikes and just do kid stuff. And then in high school, I did a couple bands, did the performing arts thing with you.
Yeah.
Definitely kept drawing, and I just always kind of had a minor artistic outlet, but
So it was very much of hanging out with friends. Is that most of your time, or do you feel like it was more time with you and your family, you and your brother and sister?
Definitely up to middle school, it was a lot of just hanging out with my brother and sister, and then going to like my cousins in Ontario or going to my cousins in Monterey Park. But just a lot of staying at home. And then once high school hit, I mean, I really just used schoolwork and homework as like my main. It's sad to say like that was my escape, but to come home and just be like, there's work to be done. I can get this done. Bam, knock it out. And then since I'm sitting at my desk, maybe I'll do some doodles or comics. And that was just kind of like my outlet as a kid. Just trying to keep focusing on my schoolwork.
You mentioned drawing. You used to draw comics.
Yeah, I used to just make little 3-page, comic book stories about like me, and now my son's godfather, Kareem, one of my best friends, and make little adventure comics about the two of us. Well, there's the three of us. Jesse, we all went to Etowanda Intermediate School together.
Yo.
So that was like the base of my comics, fantasy stuff, just like random, fighting monsters.
I love it. And do you kind of feel as if, do you ever get to keep any of those stuff? Do you still hold on to any of it?
I do actually have a box that moves with me every time I move, and it has old comic books, old songs, old poems, all that stuff.
Whoa.
And
never let that go.
It's a total time capsule from like 7th and 8th grade.
Have you looked into it? When was the last time?
I think when I moved from Colton to Grand Terrace like 2 or 3 years ago, I found the box. Because now with all that, I also keep like all my kids' stuff.
Yeah.
And my taxes. So I looked into it and flipped through it, and I was just like, man.
Good times. Good
times. Just total nostalgia, a little bit of cringe. It was just like, man, this is, I forgot I used to do this. That was my escape, was to create a fantasy reality, through these little comics and just kind of make my own stories. But just about my friends,
Sure. And did you kind of feel like you felt like there was a big burden on you trying to kind of manage, help your sister and also help your brother? Or
I wouldn't call it a burden. They're my family. It's my sister. She always needed a little bit of help, so I always helped her. And then my brother, he's was just 3 years younger than me. It's not like he was an infant or anything, but
sure.
Definitely had to. If I went out, he went out. If he went out, I went out. Had to make sure he was being safe. Be the reporter. Oh, what were you guys doing? I was down the street, man, playing video games. Why aren't you playing video games here? Because it's dirty down there, and we like being in dirt like we're kids.
Well, I think what's interesting is you mentioned this dynamic with your family as well, that you're able to interact with them. You have like this kind of like trio that you guys have built, this really 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 tight bond. But I'm curious. You said your parents worked a lot. Do you know what kind of craft or professions that they sought?
Oh, my dad was always in the outdoors industry, so he worked for Western Outdoor News, which was a publication for fishing, game, and camping and hunting and all that stuff. And then he worked for Turner's Outdoorsman, which is one of like the most major retailers of, fishing and game equipment. He claims that for about a month or two he was vice president of Turner's, but he stepped back because all the time and effort and energy he was putting into that, he was taken away from the family. Mm-hmm. And he actually had a buddy, Bill Hutchison, and his daughter Sabrina actually went to Etiwanda, which I didn't know until they went to my dad's funeral. And I was like, wait, how do I know you? How do you know my dad? Why are you here with Hutch? And Hutch actually stepped up and did a lot of that work. And then he actually stepped down. And I think Sabrina's dad, I forget his name, he was the next guy to take it over. So my dad always did that. And then once he retired from Turner's, he started his own nonprofit business. It was called Southern California United Anglers.
Whoa.
So his whole thing was bottom trawling, where you throw a net or you throw your hooks down at the bottom of the, and you're scraping to fish. Well, when you're scraping it, you're ripping up the seabed,
right?
And you're actually really hurting
the ecosystem,
that environment, wherever you're bottom trawling. So his whole thing was to create awareness of it, and it's a very efficient way to catch fish. Sure.
Their burrow, sure.
But it's just, he was just like, no, dude, I haven't even thought about it this way, but it was a very environmentalist thing of him to start this. And he was at a lot of fishing and game shows. He had his little booth, and, he made a bunch of swag. He had the coolest, the symbol for like unity is like two hands that grasp like this.
Right.
So he had someone do the design on it, and then they put a fish in the middle of it. And I was like, dude, that is sexy. It was really simple, but it was also just really powerful. And it was just like, now the message is even more clear, and he just had such a passion for that kind. I wouldn't call it an industry, but just that kind of, the whole fishing and game thing. That's how he grew up. And even the pictures of him, like at his eulogy, it was him with a fish on a boat, hanging out with his family, doing that kind of stuff.
Were you guys able to kind of connect on that? It seems like you're very outdoorsy as well. I mean, obviously you had gaming, but
he took me. He actually took all of us camping as much as he could, maybe like 2 or 3 times a year, as kids. And he loved road trips. He, if we had to go up to Washington to see the family, he would just throw us in the truck.
Love it.
And let's go. Let's see. And he would just take all the scenic routes. Crater Lake, beautiful. Only seen it once. It was a family thing. And it was just like, I would have never done it unless it was him.
How long ago did he pass?
2011.
Okay, so this is right at high school, almost, literally graduation almost.
Yeah, we graduated, and he passed away in November. It was November 21st, and then I turned 18 November 30th.
Yo. Well, toast to your pops.
And then
toast to him, man.
And in September, that's when my wife and I found out we were pregnant, so he knew we were going to have a grandkid on the way. So as he was passing, he knew he was going to be a grandpa. Passed away. I married my wife in February. We had our son in May. And then next thing you know, November rolls around, and there he is, And his birthday was actually December the 6th.
Whoa.
So he passed before me being 18, and he would have been 52, I believe.
Wow.
So he was young. I was young, yeah. It was right there. Right at like the major turning point of when you become an adult.
For real. And do you kind of feel as if like he were your guys' relationship good, hopefully? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, no, he was a great dad. Just worked, took care of the family, tried to give us whatever he could. In passing, we found out he took on a lot, like, running your own business and obviously having 3 kids and having a mortgage and everything. We never seen it. He never really led on to like the stress of it, but looking back, like, dude, he could kill 3 packs of cigarettes and like 50 beers on a weekend. Never see him during the week, but on a weekend, it would just be like the garage door was shut. You were not allowed to go in. The music would turn on at 8 Saturday morning. It would turn off at like 10 Sunday night. That was his getaway. And all throughout the week, great dad. Took care of us, loved us, very attentive. did everything right. But now that I'm a dad myself, I'm just like, okay, he took his weekend time very seriously.
You're kind of going through. I like to catch up to that kind of high school range. You're kind of going through middle school and going through elementary and high school. Is there any kind of key friends that you would like to highlight during your travels?
Oh yeah. Well, my son's godfather Kareem. Met him in 7th grade as like a frenemy, which was hilarious. And we stuck it out hard. Just great friends. Even when we went to, he went to Cucamonga High School, and then we went to Etowanda. Still kept up with him. And, we probably went to each other's houses every other week. I'd have dinner with his parents. He'd have dinner with mine.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that'd be like my key friend from middle school. Actually, from elementary school, it's weird that I'm going to say it, Zane Armentrout. We went to kindergarten together. I grew up with him, and we would always just clash, like, randomly throughout life. We would just run into each other. Zane, Cole, cool. Because these are two of, like, the weirdest names ever. I've only met, like, 2 other Coles. I've never met another Zane, even though I've heard the name used.
Right.
And then I actually ended up running into his older brother at a party after high school, and we could probably go back to that because that's a pretty funny.
I would love to.
Yeah. My newest son's godfather, Sam Garza, we hooked up as freshmen or sophomores, and we had the band together. And I like that friendship a lot because it went through a lot of stages. It went through a major crash and defeat. We didn't like each other. We didn't talk to each other. And then something happened, and I reached out to him, and I was just like, dude, why can't we just be friends again? Why can't we just, and it was my fault. Like, I'll admit to it. I was the fucking dickhead of that whole thing. And it was mostly the band, but, I was just too serious on myself and kind of took it out on the guys, and, I just crumbled the band. But I reached out to Sam later on that year, and he was like, dude, I still love you, bro. Let's keep hanging out. So then he actually helped me get into shape over the summer from like junior to senior year. I dropped like 50 pounds over summer.
I remember this. It was wild.
And Sam was just like, dude,
whoa.
He's all push-ups, sit-ups. Every time you get horny, go for a run. He'd put my ass on a bike Saturday mornings. We'd bike for like 5 miles through Rancho Cucamonga. And he was just really like, dude, avocados, tuna, super low carb stuff, just keep doing it. And he just totally helped me transform into like a totally different person. And it really, dude, I spent so many weekends at his house. And even after he went to college, I was going out to Cal State LA to go hang out with him in his dorm and just to spend weekends and, write music and play video games. And he actually recently just got married himself.
Hey.
And yeah, when we were having our kid, I was like, hey, man, not to sound selfish or anything, but you're kind of a scientist, so I'd kind of like you, besides you being my best friend for the last 15 years, to also be my kid's godfather. I think if anything happens, you'd be able to handle it. And he was like, you got it, dude. So I was like, cool, scientist. And the other son, Kareem, he's a lawyer. So, I got both those going for me.
Hey, you're going to need them. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you surround yourself with really cool people that really will help you through the journey. So, everyone has we play video games, right? So everyone kind of has like a character. You said Sam's the scientist, Kareem's the lawyer. Seems Zane is a little bit of the party. I'm not sure, but
oh, he was, everyone's got their own thing. When you're kids, you don't see what other kids are going through at home. All you see is what they show you at school. And obviously, like the kids that aren't like, straight A students and they don't show up to class, like, there's something going on. You just don't know what.
Sure.
But I always, being in kindergarten together and then always just like randomly running into each other, it was just kind of like that. We were 5 years old at the same time in the same place. So when I see you at 13 and at 17, and then I see your brother and he's like 5 years older, and I've always heard of him as like a legend. So when I met him, I was like, wow, I'm meeting like a legendary human that I know through this person that is my age. But yeah, Zane was probably definitely the party guy. I don't know what's happened to him. I haven't kept in contact.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
Fate might play again.
You know what? Now that we're talking about it, yeah, you're probably right.
So then, what would be your character in terms of friends? Your relationship with friends?
Dude, I'm the adventurer, man.
Oh, yo.
I don't stop.
What about you? Kind of gives you that type of.
I would definitely say I'm trying to steal my dad's title. He was Mr. Get It Done. So as I look at myself, I try to be Mr. Get It Done. We went camping this last weekend, me and the family. Went up to Bishop. It's a 6-hour drive. We left Thursday morning. We were supposed to stay till Saturday morning. I don't know if you can see this, but I am a little burnt.
Yo.
My 6-month-old also got a tiny bit burnt. He was angry, and my wife said, yo, we could try to sleep here and basically be miserable, or do you think you'll be able to pack up and go home? And I was like, we got 2 hours of sunlight left. Let's pack up and go home. Let's do it. So I left at 8:30 at that night from fishing all day, drinking all day, and got us home at 2 a.m., stone sober. And it's just because it had to be done. I had to get it done. And that's kind of how I've always looked at everything, but Sam living out in LA, when we were trying to do our little 2-3-man band thing and I'm out here in the Empire, I said, dude, I will be there, don't worry about it, and we'll practice. And I did it for like months, because to go out on the adventure and to just get it done, it has to be done. Even right now, I got off of work at 3:30, went home, and I said, hey, I'm doing the podcast, what do we need to do before I do that? So every time I leave the house, I do think of myself as like the adventurer. I'm being given a task every day, and I have to do it.
It's like a quest.
It's always a quest to me.
Love it.
And a lot of people, I'm a resource for quite a couple people, and I've had people look up to me and say, you know what, dude, for being a dad and, starting out as young as you did, you got everything done. And it's just like, no. There's always more to do. Now that I have 2 kids, it's like, now I have even more to do because I have more to do for them. And I feel bad at times because I'm looking at my son and he's doing what I did, just sitting around playing video games. And I'm like, dude, I want to do more for you, but you got to show me you're the adventurer. Do you want to go out and complete the task? Now I got the 6-month-old. He just started crawling today. And I was like, bro, I need to leave. I'm glad I got to see this happen in real time and not just get a picture or video of it. So now I'm thinking about him, and all the adventures that he wants to do whenever those come up.
It's an interesting feeling of not only living life for yourself, but living life for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm really curious on that journey of love. You mentioned that you went through this transformation prior to it. As you kind of enter in high school, everyone's trying to reinvent themselves during high school, right? Because this is the time. It's like, ooh, new year, new me, right? Type of thing. You go through this summer of transformation, right? Thanks to your boy Sam. He got your back. And this is like junior into senior year. And this is kind of the time where did you meet her beforehand or after? Or
I met her senior year. And because what did we do? We graduated 2011, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this must be in 2010?
Yeah, because I didn't date her when we were juniors. I met her when we were seniors because when we were seniors in Chambers, concert choir and Chambers were merged, right?
Yep.
So she was in concert choir and we were in chamber singers.
Oh, love it.
And so that's how we met. February 18th. That's our anniversary. And we got married on that day because I'm stupid and I can't, remember too many dates at a time. But she actually picked it. She was just like, let's get married on our date anniversary. And I was like, yes. I love this idea. Excellent idea.
This is great.
It's great because it's right next to Valentine's Day. So it's almost like she gets 2.
How would you describe your wife?
Very passionate.
Passion is a very strong word.
Passionate for herself, passionate for me. very direct.
Mm.
You know, she speaks in plain terms. She doesn't try to, you know, hide anything between the lines. It's straight.
It's kind of the blessing and the curse a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
That's for
yeah.
sure, yeah? Because you love it when someone you can see a heart on your sleeve, right? But sometimes it's like, damn, that kind of, you know.
Well, you know.
Could say that a little nicer.
When you're me as an adventurer, okay, think about it. So,
shoot,
I'm a knight.
Okay.
All right.
Love it.
Just put I'm a knight.
Right.
Okay. I go out. I'm tasked to do such and such every single day. So to everyone out there, I am the ghoul knight. I go out. You call upon me. You summon me. I get the job done. I do it right.
Get it.
When I go home, I'm not the knight. I'm Cole. Cole. When you're here, you need to be husband and dad first. You need to throw away that whole night bullshit because it's just that's not you when you're home. You need to be father, husband, Cole when you're home. And I'm getting better at it.
Sure.
But it's because she tells me in plain English, you know, not this like, oh well, no. It's like, no, dude, get in here, love us, be present while you're here, and you know that's all she wants. She doesn't want anything mysterious or you know, I don't have to seduce her. You know, it's just it's straightforward. Another way to describe her, imagine like the most amazing porcelain sculpture you could think of. Okay, of like a ship on an ocean, but you know that it's porcelain.
Some rocky waves.
No, it's just as well put together as she is, and as beautiful and just like strong as she is. She's very strong-willed. You know, she's like, don't interview her. You would want to, but her life story is just like incredible. A total story of redemption. You know, she's battled through stuff that would make a grown man like me throw up. You know, she's been through it. So when she's at home, she wants to be somewhere where it's just nice and peaceful.
Sure.
You know, everything has its place, and if everything flows, it flows. And you know, I think I love her very much because she's a lot like my mom, where everything's good, and when it's good, it's good, and then when it's not good,
you're gonna hear about it.
Oh, it's you know,
I call them the glass cannons.
There's a third nuclear bomb.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just a button away.
You know,
give me a reason. But I think it's important. It's definitely navigating children. You're gonna need that sense of that duality there. You know.
Oh, you know what? She raised our first son just like amazing. Everyone tells. You know, I'm the one that goes out. So everyone tells me all the time how awesome my kid is. And I got to tell them, look, dude, I work all day. I go home. I pay the bills. All right. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's been a stay-at-home mom since day one. She has had to change every diaper. Well, unless I'm there.
Sure.
You know, make sure the kid is fed, clothed, clean, happy, which she did every single day. There was never a bad day. There was never a day where I thought, like, you know, there was something wrong. No. Like, she is an incredible mom, and because of that, we have an amazing, very well put together son, and she's more than likely going to do it again, except better, you know, which...
Because you learn.
You know, we were kids. We were 18.
Yeah.
And now we're 29. Like, she's... All this stuff is just coming back in waves, and I'm remembering little things, and she's remembering, like, every single step of the way, every milestone. You know, and our 6-month-old, I mean, he's just like a bright little, just laughing ball of love. And I tell everyone, it's just like, dude, it's not me, it's her. She did all that, and she does all that. And even with everything that she has to go through, you know, personally, she is the best mom because she could put all that aside, and she can always put the kids first. You know, when we were going camping. She had everything packed. She made sure the kids were just, like, excellent. Set off hygiene, clothes, snacks, you know. And then I tried taking us out to breakfast on Sunday, and I forgot the pacifier. Like, you know, it's just she just can go above and beyond as a parent. And as a spouse, I mean, she's always just taking care of me, taking care of the home. And then all she asks is that I come home and just, you know, put away the angry face.
Give some of that love. I'm curious here. You mentioned that you kind of have children, but you were also a teenager, right? I would consider you an adult, right? 18, you know what I mean? But like that was like once you turn 18. It wasn't even like you had like a break. It was like literally.
I was like 5 months into being 18.
Yeah, like that's like whoa.
I was married and a dad.
I'm curious here. How did you see the world at this point? Because you're graduating high school, right? The one person that you can seek a lot of advice from, normally from a male's perspective, especially a young male, is your father. But your father is sick. Is at least it's not like abrupt, right? It's not like we had no clue this was happening.
No, he was sick for a couple years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did he instill in it? Like, did you get like some like, hey, this is the plan? And I take at least your mother was hopefully able to kind of help coach that through, or was it just you two having just like, cool, we're gonna have to figure this out together?
You know what? Growing up, my dad would always kind of drop hints like this is what a good husband or dad would do, and it was always just very randomly, just like sprinkled. And I could just remember hearing his voice a couple times, like Thanksgiving. I helped clean up, put everything away, take care of the house, and he was just like, "That's a good job. It's good. That's something a good husband would do." I was like 13 going, yeah, I just wanted everyone to leave my house so I could, go to bed because I just ate turkey and I want to crawl in bed and sleep. Or, I don't know. I mean, I don't think my dad was, he knew he was going to have a grandkid and, but he was very sick like towards the end.
Sure.
And that's when he found out, he maybe September to November, so that's only 2 months.
Right.
And his health just like declined.
Sure.
My mom, being that my dad was sick, now she was working full time. So when she would come home, and she would try to make dinner and, she would give me and my wife a little bit of support, but she was more focusing on like, my younger brother.
He's still in high school.
Yeah, he was still in high school. And I don't think my sister was living at home. I think she moved out by that time.
How old is your sister? How older than you?
33.
Oh, okay. She's 5 years. 4 or 5 years.
4 years.
4 years. Okay. So, I think you had a lot of experience helping your sister, helping your brother. I think the managing of the kids was not, I don't think, the hard part. I think it was like kind of your relationship with like you and your spouse that would have been like some really key things that you could have gained. Did you have any kind of really good examples of kind of like that husband-wife dynamic? Do you feel like your parents really had that kind of dynamic going together entering that world? Because you got married and had the kid graduated, married, kid, career, all at this, like, it's just like this.
Oh yeah, it was quick. Yeah.
It was a lot of like, that's a lot to kind of set on someone's shoulders, How are you doing kind of like, how are you dealing with all that? Do you feel like you were, I hate to say this, prepared?
Oh, not at all. Because I was working. So I started working before we graduated, part-time. Excuse me. And then graduation, cool. Partied for a little bit. Got pregnant. So right then I was just like, all right, well, I got some time. Then dad. And I was like, oh, well, man, that was kind of out of nowhere.
It's quick, yeah.
And then Christmas, terrible. New Year's, And, I did the proposal in December, and then it was just like, I was so focused on getting that wedding dialed in, and trying to scrape together whatever money I could. And now that we talk about it, my wife was just like, dude, all I wanted to do was go to Vegas. And everyone else, like, took over the wedding, and you basically fronted the bill. And I was like, yep. I would have totally loved going to Vegas, too, with my pregnant wife. And we can't drink.
Right.
And then we had the baby in May. And I remember I remember taking her, went to St. Bernardine's Hospital. So the lead up to that, if anyone here has a pregnant spouse, they are going to say the gnarliest, most hateful things to you that you never thought would ever come out of their mouth in that day leading up to the delivery. And you'd like, dude, you are not prepared for it. You will never be prepared for it. All you have to do is just grit your teeth and say, it's okay, honey. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. We'll be fine. We'll get there. Just keep breathing with her. And so I got to do that twice, which was cool. So first time, St. Bernardine's Hospital, which, not an amazing hospital. It's right next to a cemetery, which is cool.
Yikes.
Fitting.
It's like,
She went through pretty hard labor, got induced, and the epidural ran out like at midnight, and she gave birth at like 7 a.m. Yeah, so it was pretty terrible. And, the recovery wasn't amazing. So that was like Friday to Sunday, and I was back to work on Monday.
Getting it.
And I feel terrible for that now looking back on it because I was so scared I couldn't provide that I didn't take time off to help my wife recover, and I didn't take time to bond with the baby in the first couple weeks. I was just like so hell-bent on I needed to have money because now I have, I still lived with my mom, but I was saving up to buy us a new car. I was saving up to pay insurance, I'm trying to help with bills at the house. So I made that decision, which, looking back on it, I could have just said, no, dude, I'm having a kid. Sorry, job. Like, I know I've only been working here for a year, but I'm having a kid. I need to be home. And I made the decision not to, which I think really, was kind of like the wrong way to start that whole thing. Even though our relationship had started the year prior, I feel like that was when everything actually happened, was once the baby was born. And then I was coming home and trying to, I only worked a couple blocks away from home. So I'd race home real quick as soon as I clocked out, go try to take care of the baby, give my wife a break, change diapers, do bottles, do dinner. And my mom, she was just so overwhelmed because she just lost her husband.
Jeez.
She really did not make it like cool. And then so like my wife and my mom just had this hard, really was bad, and when you're 18, I'm a married 18-year-old, but I'm still a kid.
Sure.
So now I'm making like even the fucking weirdest decision I made, which is, do I pick my wife or my mom? And so we moved out. And even that wasn't like a great thing because, it took my wife begging me, please, we need to move out. Please, I can't be here.
Sure.
So me, I wasn't great. Wasn't prepared.
It's a hard thing, when you're 18 trying to make a decision. The reason I bring this up because I'm really curious here is because our chamber singers was really close.
Yeah,
we had a really close kind of family dynamic that was going on. The way we interacted with each other, the way that the way we got along, how much fun we were having, just kind of like we were definitely kids. And so when I went to college, right? Because I went off to San Francisco, we all just like disappeared.
Yeah.
Like everything that we built, all the relationships that we built, all the bond that we built, all the support systems that we created was just gone, like literally overnight. And I had no clue. I had no clue. But I do remember asking like people, hey, do you know what's going on with Cole? Do you know what's happening with Cole? It's like, and people were like, nah, I don't know. You were dealing with all this on your own. Who was the support system? Anybody there to be like, yo, Cole, you good? You need any, or you just trying to like carry it on your, like, hey, I'm going to make it happen.
Really, it was me and my wife.
Just you two.
That was the primary. I mean, once we moved out, she found the apartment in Colton, which was awesome. And at that point, I was working at the Colton store of that business, so it worked out really well. But she, I would just call her as much as I could throughout the day and make sure she was okay. And I only worked a couple blocks away, so sometimes I'd sneak off on lunch just to go in and give her a hug and a kiss and just take the baby out of her arms for 2 minutes, just, give her a breath. And then come home at the end of the day and try to, help her. And she would also give me the same. I'd come in through the door and, she'd just be like, hey, are you okay? You want to talk about it? Is there anything you're concerned about? Because of the whole dynamic between my wife and my mom, which kind of sucked. I didn't really talk to my mom for like 6 months. We got over it. But my uncle Fernando, my dad's brother, and his wife Anna, they lived in Ontario, so that's where my cousins were. We actually ended up having them help us out a lot.
That's awesome.
They had a Costco membership, so we were, asking them, hey, if I give you some cash, can you please go get formula and diapers? If we needed to be somewhere, they were usually the first ones we'd ask, like, hey, can you watch our son? And it was cool. It was nice, and they really helped us out. And then Anna, my Aunt Anna, she started talking to my mom a little bit, and that kind of opened that bridge. She was just like, well, what's up with you guys? Like, why aren't you guys talking? Why isn't Cole coming to you? And I didn't really let it on to my mom very much, like in the beginning. But then, recently, maybe in like the last couple, 3-5 years, it did come out. We was just like, look, Mom, you like totally made Shayla feel.
Sure.
Can you edit out my wife's name?
Sure.
Totally made my wife feel just like a human pile of garbage.
Sure.
And she doesn't have a mom. Let's just put it out there, okay? She didn't have that family support. So when we got married and had a kid, she was entering my family. Well, how can you enter a family when there's a brick wall? And I'm the only one outside of the wall. My sister, I don't know what her deal was, but she also was not like the biggest fan of my wife. She didn't do anything. We went to school together. Great mom. She lived with us. My wife took better care of my dad than anyone. She was going to school at Chafee, taking the bus down. My dad was sitting in his chair. She would take care of him. She'd bring him lunch, help him to the bathroom, hang out with him, she'd watch old John Wayne movies and stuff. My dad taught her how to write checks, do banking. And, it's just like, dude, why did you guys hate on my wife so much?
Sure.
And all she ever did was just go and help. And that really just like, as I started growing, the decisions became a lot easier.
Sure.
Holidays were always hard because, she had a mother figure in Fontana, and then I had my mom. Well, they didn't really like each other very much.
Sure. Mostly
because of my mom. But so holidays were always just like a nightmare of coordinating, like go over there, go over here, try to split time. And that's the kind of stuff that my parents did too, because every time we went to a holiday, go out to Monterey Park first, hit West Covina on the way back, then come home. And now I'm starting to have the same,
dilemma.
Well, now it's the same conversations that I remember my parents having, like, why? I hate being there. Why? And, now we're doing it, and mostly it is me, because I feel like I have this permanent connection that I need to maintain, but I also feel like I can't put up that boundary of like, yo, dude, I'm 30, I love you, but I also have my kids and my wife. I need to break that, like, not break that boundary, I need to put that boundary up, like.
Man, it keeps coming back. I was talking to Sarah about this. But it's just such a good quote. I was talking to my dad. He told me this quote. He said, you have to put boundaries, because without boundaries, right, I don't know how to love you and love myself at the same time. And if someone keeps overstepping boundaries and you let them, then you kind of feel as if like you kind of look like you almost hate yourself in a way, because you're just letting someone do something that you don't want to tolerate or don't want to do. I think you should set boundaries 100%. Set your standards, set your principles, set these things that say, hey, look, this is the way I operate. This is how my family's going to operate, right? And if you want to be a part of, them life, you have to be able to understand that this is the world you're going into. If I go to China, there's rules, okay?
Yeah.
If I go to Korea, there's rules,
yeah.
Right? So when you come here, when you interact with me, there's rules. And so it's a whole different dynamic. But it just helps so much because you have set these rules, you set these standards, you set these principles. As long as someone doesn't overstep that, then you feel as much better at yourself. So it's interesting as you get older, you start learning. But I also find really cool about what you're explaining as well is that this is a whole development cycle that you're going through in a short amount of time. You're becoming wiser, but you're also getting these glimpses of time at being able to understand what it was like when you were a kid. And it was such a short while ago. It's not like, when people have children in their like 30s or 40s or whatever, right? It's been a long time since they were kids. So they lose the touch of like what it feels like to be a kid, or lose the touch of what it feels like to be a son, or lose the touch of what it feels like to be a dad, or not dad, but like a brother or sister, right? And so because of that, they judge, they use, there's a great poem that I like, but essentially they say is that like I'm measuring my kid based off the yardstick that I measure myself currently, which is a whole, like, dude, you're like 18, 30 years old to judge someone is so crazy. And your mother, I don't know how old she is, but she's judging you as if she's like 50 or 60 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just like 18, I'm just 20 years old. Like, you're measuring me with this stick that I'm like, man, like, hold up. But I would like to just say it seems like she was dealing with a lot of grief, and that grief she took out on others, and that's rough,
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's been the last couple of years, it's really smoothed out.
Sure. That's good to hear.
Because my mom and wife finally smoked some weed together and
get excited,
kind of hashed it out, and just my mom finally broke down and said, look, I'm sorry, and you paid your dues. Like, you are my daughter, and you've been a great wife, and you've been a great mother to my grandkids. My wife hasn't told her fully, but, she has said, like, look, you didn't make it easy, but you are my mother-in-law, and you always will be.
Sure.
So it kind of it has smoothed out just a little bit, but there's so much more time ahead of us. I think it's going to get better, and especially with the new baby. Now my mom really wants to be involved, and that trust is there now where it wasn't there the first time around.
Do you need to take that? We can take a quick break.
No. I was just checking just to make sure I'm not getting yelled at.
Okay. Just making sure. Yeah, you're good, brother. Let me know. So you're now much older. You're kind of describing your kind of children's dynamic in there, the type of personalities, because he's about 11, right?
He's 11, yeah.
If you remember, right, how were you at 11 versus him, and how was it, growing up with, like, you know what I mean? You're almost growing up with, each other. It's going to be very cool when he's 18 or 36. It's going to be a very interesting dynamic, seeing that kind of, like, young parents. It makes it really
I'm waiting
fun.
for when he's 21 and I'm 39. That's when I really need him the most.
It's time, boy.
It's time, man. You're going to order drinks for me. Man. When I was 11, I was definitely a stay-at-home kid. Just liked things quiet, liked my music, liked my video games. He's doing the same exact thing.
Wow.
It's just, he likes to stay at home. If his friend comes over, he'll be social. If we got a pool in the HOA, he'll jam down there with a couple friends. They'll hang out.
Excited.
And he just likes coming home, and he likes sitting down. He loves taking care of his younger brother. I mean, it's almost annoying sometimes because it's just like, bro, I'm holding him as he's crying. You don't need to take him from me. Like, I'm doing the dad thing. And he's like, but I want to because I know how to make him not cry. And I'm like, well, you know what, man? What if I want to know how to make him not cry? Okay.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, being 18 and having a newborn definitely just put me back in my place where it was just like, I have no idea what's going on. And for my wife to also be 18 and to give birth, all I had to do was go to work and come home. She had to be home and legitimately make sure this child thrived.
Sure.
And to the situation she came from, her whole career in high school and growing up, and then to be a mom at 18, like, dude, that she went through some business.
Yeah, but hey, you're there with her though.
I tried. I tried my best.
And I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like, you that it takes two.
It does take two.
It does take two, and so so much appreciation, and I don't want to say kudos, such a bad word, but so much appreciation and love needs to go to your wife, but I think there's a little bit to give to yourself as well. As you've gone through this journey, because I understand kind of the dynamic you felt about yourself when you were kind of, because I was close with you, especially within music.
Yeah.
It's a big part. But you mentioned that, like, you still was this thing. You still was going out to LA, still trying to make it happen. You still were chasing after dreams, but also taking care of the place. You're trying to manage all these things all at the same time. And I'm curious of kind of like yourself. How did you view yourself as you were growing throughout this side? Do you kind of feel like there was this kind of tug and pull of kind of like this seek for independence, but also being a parent, but also being a son, and also being like, do you kind of feel like everyone was pulling in a lot of directions?
If I looked at what I was doing then, now, as 30-year-old Cole, I was doing everything incredibly selfishly. Mm-hmm. In the moment, I was always telling myself, like, I need a break. Mm-hmm. Going out to LA to play music and disappear for a weekend was a break. You know, get invited to a house party in Fontana, that was a break. And, you know, if I could call myself on the phone and say, dude, you have a wife and a kid at home, and you are their only connection to planet Earth, you should probably be there for these weekends and for these nights and not do that. But as 18, 19-year-old Cole, I still had plenty of desire to, you know, if there was booze, if there was somewhere to be, if there was something to do, I wanted to do it, you know. And now it's, you know, and in my mind, it was just like, well, this is my time. But looking back on it, you know, that's why I really doubt on myself a lot, because that was the poor attribute of my being a dad, was because I was young, I wasn't thinking of the family that I just created, even though I put up this whole like facade of I have an apartment, I have a job, you know, I'm taking care of my wife and kid, I'm, you know, paying for everything. But all of that was just like a total, you know, that's what was said and done. But there was always this like really selfish black pit in me that was just like, oh, dude, got a phone call, got to go. You know, and I'm trying really hard not to do that this time around. So thinking about it, like, you know, yeah, dude, everyone asks me too all the time, what's it like? And I would tell them straight up, well, I'm 22 and you're 22. So we're both here at the same party and I can't drive home because I'm too drunk. And you also can't, because we're both 22-year-olds and we both planned on sleeping over at our friend's house who's also 22. But I should be at home because I'm not a 22-year-old college student. I'm a dad.
But I feel as if, like,
you know, but in the moment I was like cool about it.
I understand.
You know, but yeah, as I'm older now, I'm just like that.
But yeah. I think there's a dynamic of putting yourself in a position where you're also trying to understand where's the guidance, right? You know what I mean? You kind of put this into context, you know. It's there, you're figuring things out on your own. Your mother's not really able to be there, you know, 'cause she's dealing with her thing. You do have an uncle that does help sometimes. And there's a lot of tension at home, you know? So you kind of obviously need escape. I think both do, right? But the goal is to do it together, right? The goal is to be able to have those interactions together.
We should have done, you know, we did a lot together as the starting out, you know, because May, 18 years old. Okay, so September we both moved out to Colton together. Probably within the first year, I sent my wife to Michigan, South Carolina, Oregon, Chicago, Washington.
Jeez.
You know, because she had good friends online, and they would say, hey, come out. So I would do what I could, scrape money together to help her go out. If that wasn't her thing and my thing was going out to LA, we did spend a lot of weekend time together. I tried to get the family out to the park, you know, scrape some money together, go get a steak or something. And really just those first years starting out, it was just, besides the little bit of help I got from my aunt and uncle, which was tremendous,
Huge.
for being 18 and just like, dude, $700 rent on $10 an hour. I mean, it was just like impossible, but we did it. And my wife, being as intelligent as she is, she actually did a lot of the budgeting. So not only was I was making the money, she was helping us spend it wisely. We always had food in the fridge. Sam, being a college student, he came out to our apartment a couple times, and he has money to burn. But he told me once, he was like, I love coming to your house because there's always food in the fridge, and there's always a blanket, and the place is clean, and that's all from her. And
man, you have so much respect for her. It's so awesome. One of the things I love about doing these stories is so often that you can hear it in someone's voice with how much just like appreciation that it comes in time. It comes in time. It's something that's hard. Everything, even right now, it's hard to see things. But that's kind of the goal of doing this, to hear the kind of story of like yourself and how things have gone. I do have one final question before we encapsulate this. Your family, right? You have this kind of Mexican side of you, right? You have this kind of Italian, let me get this right, German side of you as well.
Yeah.
You have this family that you seen your grandfather with this kind of funny, outgoing type of mentality. Grandmother is a little quiet, but she's stern. She's with the cut. Even your grandmother and grandfather from your other side as well, being a World War II veteran, and also seeing your grandmother Nani, I think, right?
Yeah, Nani. Yeah.
Out in West Covina, were you able to? Because I know your father was the kind of connection that was lost, but mother was a little bit. Your uncles seemed to help a lot, but did you ever get to kind of be able to touch base with them throughout the kind of journey after 18 with your grandparents?
Oh, as far as like my grandparents' history?
No, I mean in terms of like interacting with them from kind of 18 on. Did you ever get to be able to go and be around? I'm sorry, I don't know if they're still around or not, but I was assuming that they were.
Oh, well, Sonny and Gus, they had both passed away, and my nanny, she actually passed away maybe like 2 years ago, and so we went up to Auburn to go see that. She was like super Catholic, so we went to big Catholic mass burial, and that was a big reconnection because my mom's side of the family, the 7 siblings, had not been together for like 5 years or something like that, maybe more.
Right.
So to see all of them come together and they all had the stories about their mom, and then I also got to see my cousins who I had probably also never seen in 10 years. Sally, the cousin from Arizona, she was just like the black sheep, no one knew anything about her. She didn't even look like the same girl. My cousin Joey and Paula couldn't come down from Washington, but Joey did. He was Joe now. And Nathan, goofy little kid, now he's like a total just like music genius engineer. And we all it was finally a good way a terrible way for the family to get together, but it was great because we all came together because of my nanny, and
I guess it's good to reconnect with family again. It gives you that sense of like, okay, what's important.
It does, and it actually, because my wife was with me too for that funeral, she got to meet that side of the family, and I think it gave her a good perspective on my mom, of how she grew up. And she's like, dude, your Uncle Peter, the crazy cat guy, he's so cool. I love him. And, your crazy Uncle Raymond, and, your Aunt Paula, like, they're just so, she's like, I get it now. And yeah, you're right. It is. I think it's something everyone should do, is as much as you might have some kind of bad history. Well, if it's bad, it's bad. You can't fix bad blood. But,
Sure.
If you have a dispersed family, just that little bit of reach out. Don't wait for a funeral. You should just, at the very least, throw a line. My cousin in Ontario, I didn't know she got married to a dude. It's not her kid, but it's his. But I didn't know that. My other cousin from Monterey Park, he's like a political scientist or something. but I don't know what his sister's doing. But my sister probably does, and my brother probably knows more too. It's just
So then this is the question I have. Looking back at your life, right? Your mom is like this super chill, but like she can throw down if she needs to.
Yeah.
Your father is stern. You see the kind of the hard work that he has, but you also can see like the disconnection for the weekend, right? The part that you play, this kind of adventure role of kind of always trying to see the world or put people in positions where they can be able to see the world. Even your friends that you connect with, right? Whether it be Zane, which I'd love to jump in that party story as well. Sam, Kareem, and having that kind of dynamic of friends as you grow up through life, right? Experience the world, but you have responsibilities that you take care of. Your brother, you take care of your little brother, making sure he's good. And anywhere you go, he goes. Your older sister, where you get to help out. She didn't really need all the support, but you do want to be there and show love for her as well. But you're reserved. Even when you're going through middle school and kind of high school, you still have this love for art, this love for creativity, whether it be like the guitar you toy with every once in a while, or like through music. One of the best shout outs to he is the best that I've ever heard bass musically. Like, he is the best voice you'll ever hear. I have to pull out some of this stuff. I've never seen people hit these notes when we were in high school, but that's just a side note. But no, I mean, even your wife in the last almost 11 years of undying kind of like support that you guys are having for each other, working through something that obviously was not planned, but something that you guys did not give up on trying to create and trying to work through and try to figure out how you can get better and how you can grow and how you can learn with each other. And both of you still have passions that you want to go down, especially how passionate she is. And you also have this dream that you're kind of going down, right? But no matter what the obstacle is, right, you guys find a way to get through it together, right? You stick with each other, and you go through this kind of endless journey of whether it be successes or losses or victories or defeats, right? You work it out. You spend the time. You put the pressure where it needs to be, and is blessed with another child as well. Looking back at your entire kind of like last 29 years of kind of your life, do you have any regrets? Would you change any of it?
I don't have any specific moments like where I would have made a better decision. I wish that as I was like, a teenager going from 13 to 18, I wish I would have handled my decisions better. I was very serious. And that last year of high school, I tried to break out of that, take myself too seriously, only to fall into, adulthood immediately. For the last 10 years, there are a couple regrets, whereas I wish I could have, like I said, when my kid was born, I should have been there first. I should have put more of my young family ahead of what my career is now, even though my career now is pretty decent, as I would consider, because I put in that effort. You could always do everything better. You could always look back and just say, I didn't handle that the best. Especially just trying to, like I said, escape my own reality by going out. I could have made way better decisions, that would have probably helped myself be more confident in my marriage and be more confident, when I go home that everything is okay. And when I do go home, I know everything's okay, but just like you said, we're 30 now. Looking back on the last 10, 15 years where I don't really think my life started until I hit high school. But even then, it was a slow start. And just to the last 10, 11 years was like, a foot race through glass, trying to be a young adult and being a young dad. I could have done a lot of things better, The shutdown was kind of hard on everybody, I could have definitely made it easier for my wife to, explore her desires, such as, like her hobbies and stuff. But again, just my fear of not being able to provide will almost always override my decisions where, I could have forced us to stay one more day for camping and make us miserable, but I had the opportunity to go home, which meant I had the opportunity to work. So even though the real reason to go home was to make the family comfortable, the underlying reason for me to go home was I can work and provide. So maybe my biggest regret is when I told Sam at 16, hey, I don't want to play music anymore. I need to get a job. Why was that my first thing to think of at 16? I couldn't even work. I could drive, but who's hiring 16-year-olds? Why was that the first thing I thought of to break up my band? Was I don't want to do music because it's not reliable. I need to work.
You're looking at your past, but I also kind of want to look at the future as well. I have two questions here. In the next 5 years, we're gonna come sit down again. This show. But I want to talk about kind of the dream. You just went through your kind of entire life, all the victories, all the defeats. What's the dream now? Like looking in the future, what's the goal? What's your what do you want out of life? What are you fighting for? What do you want to accomplish? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And how do you feel like you could bring the best value, not only for yourself, but for your family, for your friends, for the people at large?
Definitely within the next 5 years, I would like to be able to stop working 2 jobs.
Such a good goal too.
So I've been working at this place, 3 Iron, for 4 years. So that's 4 years of every weekend, 3 nights a week. And I really love this place. It's been in business for 8 years, so I've been working the back half of it. I'd want to say I'm a semi-major player in this company. In the next 5 years, I would love to see maybe an investor purchase this company, or maybe we expand even farther than what we are. And because I am where I am with this little brewery, maybe I don't have to work 2 jobs.
Love this. And then I do want to ask one final question before we move.
Yeah.
If your great-great-grandchildren were able to kind of see this video, what's one message that you really want them to take about your life? What advice would you give them?
There's 3 major sayings that I absolutely hate because they are absolutely true. It is what it is, because I hate that saying. God, now that I'm trying to say it, I can't think of it. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And the last one is, if you want to eat shit, then eat shit. So if the message I can give to my great-great-grandchildren down the road is, you know what? It is not what you know. It is who you know, and it sucks. It's incredible because as a bartender and as a mechanic, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of other mechanics. I know businessmen, vagabonds, lawyers, serfs, everything, top to bottom. I've shaken all their hands. And because I know those people, I have resources. I can get farther. It is who you know, not what you know. But you also have to be a who. Because if I was just a Joe, who would want to know?
That's so smart.
My boss from 3 Iron told me that if you want to eat shit, eat shit. And that's a saying that his dad told him. I don't make the best decisions, but whatever decision I make, good or bad, I stick to it. And that's a terrible attribute to have. Sometimes it's great to quit, even if you think you wasted time, material, energy. Sometimes it's incredibly great to just quit in the middle of something if it's terrible and start over. Otherwise, you are just going to keep eating shit. And the last saying of, it is what it is. You know what? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Oh, my dad told me right before he died, too. Funniest thing. He's like, if someone ever tells you to shave your sideburns, tell them to suck your balls. Now, I don't think he meant that to mean anything, but I think that was his way of saying, I had those sideburns in high school. Yeah. You remember?
Yeah, I do. It was good.
And that was like my look, and I never shaved them. And I've had, I got the beard and everything, but if I cut it back, I still keep the sideburns. I don't think my dad meant it as like a metaphor for who you are, who you identify as. Don't change it for anybody. I think that's like something I'm trying to perceive out of a dream of what he said, but same thing.
Love it.
You want to hear the party story?
Oh, man, I feel like we have to. Is there any other key people or key things that you want to gloss over, my friend?
You know what, dude? In the last 2 years, I met 3 of like my most bestest friends, people that really helped me have a lot of insight into my life. I'm in a band, trying to get them back together, trying to just keep the music going. As much as my wife started knitting.
Oh, love it.
She's working on a jacket for me. I'm excited. She made me some pot holders, and I was like, oh my God, love you so much. She has chickens now, which means I have chickens now.
Let's get it.
We're up to 7.
Hey!
In these last few years, just like trying to become established. I just hope in the next 5 years I can help my wife. If she wants to go back to school, awesome. Our 6-month-old will be 5. My 11-year-old will be 16. Maybe in the next 5 years, my 11-year-old will blossom and find that niche, that thing that he really wants to do. Because he keeps wanting to like be a content creator for YouTube, and I keep telling him, dude, I love you. Just, I'm a mechanic by trade and a bartender at night, so I'd like to see you, contribute like physically. And then my 6-month-old to a 5-year-old, it just, that'll be kindergarten times, preschool. We never put our first kid into preschool, So it's just all these decisions that I can make in the next 5 years. And I have all these friends that they are helping me out, and they're helping me try to become better as a family man. Because at the end of the day, dude, that's what I got.
How do people find you? How do people connect with you? You have such a great story. You have a lot of wisdom too. How do people connect with you? Where can people find you?
So what you want to do is
we can put it in the description as well if you like.
Draw a circle on the floor and put a beer in it. All right.
This is Witcher 3 right here, okay?
Okay.
Witcher 4.
And start crying and just ask for help, and I'll show up.
There you go.
That's how you do it.
That's how
you know it.
What? Smoke signals.
You could always find me on Instagram, Madface Mendez. I used to be Demon Sexy, which is a different story. I live in Colton. Been living in Colton for the last 12 years, besides when I was in Grand Terrace for 2 years, which is basically like the difference between Etowanda, Altaloma, and Rancho Cucamonga. It's the same shit,
the same thing.
You could always find me at the brewery in Colton, 3 Iron. I'm there 3 nights a week.
Shout outs to 3 Iron too,
Dude,
for providing us the beers.
You know what? This is the peanut butter banana ale.
Tastes great too. I'm not gonna lie, this is fire. I'm gonna have to show up, guys.
And you know, I'm always open, you know, but I am always working.
And then, yeah, man, awesome. We have a painting that was made by me. Okay, it sucks, guys, but just listen. This is just, this is artistry here at its finest. And I just want to, I'm so surprised that you chose the one that I got. And I was like, dude, you're choosing the one I made? Like, oh my gosh, you sure? Choose the other ones.
I thought it was red.
I appreciate it.
Then when you showed me the reference, I'm telling you, it's spot on to the reference.
It's not that good, but I should have done a little bit better, but I appreciate you like it.
I was just like,
this is like
that's me,
Alice in Wonderland. I see myself.
I did. I was like, this speaks to me. I was like, the beach looks good and the flowers look good and the desert setting. I was just like, that's me. Don't talk to me the first hour of waking up. That's what you're getting.
That's savage. Hey, listen. But I love it. So we do have one final segment that we do. And it's called our deep questions. Are you ready for it?
I need a glass of water.
Oh shoot, we do need water. Can we make some agua here, Sarai? I'm sorry if you don't mind. That would be great. You want to pour it in this glass? You okay with that?
Yeah, that's
Or
perfect.
you actually put it in a cup. Yeah. Let's just do that. We'll just do that segment that way, and that makes it easier. I want to find out what question I want to put last, so that I could add some depth in here. Jeez, dude, she chose some deep ones here. Oh my gosh.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Cut me, baby.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you.
She's going straight for the jugular here. Straight for it. Yo.
Oh, that's good. I'm getting pretty good at semi-professional drinking. So I know when to apply water.
There you go.
Or if I'm at a bar, which I don't like going to bars anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
I'll be like, can you sell me just a can of Red Bull? And it's almost always wholesale too, which is nice. So you get it for like $2.
Hey.
And I'm just like, all right. Yes. They're like, you want a Red Bull vodka? I said, no, I just want a whole can of Red Bull on ice, please. And then I'll just smoke it. And if I do that, I usually don't wake up with a hangover. Yeah, I think I'm getting better at drinking.
That's good. That's good.
I stopped driving, which was nice.
That's good. That's good too. Ready, my friend?
Oh yeah.
Okay. What's your biggest hope for the future?
Personally?
Yes, sir.
Like world? Cole, biggest hope for Cole, biggest hope for California, the world?
For the future.
For the future.
What is your biggest hope for the future?
Definitely better federal funding for schools and more transparent funding for schools. And I want to see the return of trade electives. When we were in school, did we even have an auto shop? But it was one class, right?
It was like it was an auto shop.
It was like a metal shop, but
yeah.
But it was one class.
Yeah.
And you know how hard it was to get in that class?
It was impossible.
I didn't know anyone in that class.
Yeah.
I think Randy was in that class, maybe. If you talk to, because a lot of the people I talk to, definitely, I'm 30, everyone I talk to is 40, 50.
Right.
They had psychology.
Yeah.
They had electrical shit. They had, home ec, which home ec I took in middle school, but they didn't offer it in high school. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
Any kind of shop you could think of. So woodworking, metal, just that people aren't being prepared anymore.
Yeah. Oh, do I have so much to talk to you about this?
I took business management and economics, and I took accounting as a senior. And if I didn't take those, I wouldn't know how to write a check. I wouldn't know how to apply for a job. I wouldn't know how to apply for a loan. Yeah, and it's just and that's just for business. So why are they training us to I think everyone should speak 2 languages, so I took Spanish for 4 years. My wife took Latin. Terrible decision.
Yeah.
Sam took French. I think it's even worse decision than Latin. But, so what I want to see in the future is better preparation for students. They used to have driving school. You could get your license in school, and they would teach you to drive. They'd take you up to the top of the fucking Etiwanda Falls, and they'd let you die on your own.
Yeah.
With 4 other people in the car, too.
Yeah. Jesus, take the wheel.
Take the wheel. So that's something, and that's definitely, that's a funding issue. That's definitely, it gets way deeper into, how politicians spend the money on schools, and it's just like people need to stop. People need to really focus on that because they always gripe about no one wants to work. Well, that's why no one wants to work.
Sure.
It's because they're not being shown. I never knew what hydraulics was until I was a hose bitch making hoses at a shop. Now I know a lot about. I hate vehicles. Absolutely hate them. But I know about them.
Right.
That's why I hate them.
Yeah.
So I refuse to work on them. But I'm a plumber, an electrician, a machine builder. I can do it all because I have this trade. And other people, and I own woodworking tools now. I didn't own anything when I was 18. Obviously, I didn't have money. But that's not the point. The point is that being prepared starts in school. My oldest son, he had a hard time just reading right out the gate until he went to school.
Right.
And obviously, that's the parent's job and the teacher's job together. But with my dad being sick and my mom working full time,
Right.
My dad didn't really teach me to drive. I just kind of took the keys and he told me, all right, let's drive down to the mills. Don't crash. And so that's something I want to see in the future for sure.
Completely agree. I would love to. Hey, check out the next show, guys. Really excited for that. If you were a superhero, what would you be? Well, sorry, what would be your name and 3 superpowers? You gotta love it, right? Shout outs to Sarah.
Dude, I would love to demon sexy. I'll pull that.
Love it.
Dude, demon sexy. Why is that my superhero? Okay,
I have to.
I was given that name at the bar because I had a customer and he said, I love when Cole picks up the phone because his voice is deep and sexy, which it's not. But I was walking up and I was like, did you say demon sexy? And they're like, no, deep and sexy, idiot. And then they were just like, wait a minute. Demon sexy. That's a cool name. So when I was playing guitar at the bar, that was my name, Demon Sexy. Superpowers. If I could just like shoot lightning out of my hands, that'd be dope.
That's dope. Writing that down.
Static shock.
Yo, he said it.
Definitely super strength. Just got to do that. But like, I'd like to, kind of work in like super resilience. So like they kind of play together. You're super strong, but then you get thrown into a building and you just fucking die.
Yeah, right.
And then third power would probably be, I don't know. Why are all my powers like so aggressive? One like a
Die.
Just die.
And Hulk.
None of that parallel universe shit. But if I could like teleport, that'd be cool.
Ooh.
Because I'm the adventurer. There's so many things I need to do during the day. If I could just cut out travel, dude, that was nice when I only used to be a block away from work. I would wake up just like, terrible, and I'd still make it to work on time. Now I gotta wake up with the baby, get him cool, wake my wife up because I love letting her get that extra hour. That's the peace hour. And then
Preach.
I gotta drive the 10,
Oof.
which isn't bad. All right, it's only 12 miles, but oh my goodness, in those 12 miles, all of the Inland Empire could explode.
Yes, tonight.
So if I could just done.
Yeet.
Yeah. Just think about my drinking career. It'd be terrible.
Yeah, for real.
I only live...
Literally, you could throw a car, teleport, and catch it.
I only live a block away from home. I could stumble home if I need to, but to teleport home would be dope.
Yeet.
Just be like...
Well, you're drunk, so you're teleporting. You got to teleport a few times.
That'd be terrible.
Teleport inside a mountain or
in
something.
The wash. With all the Colton skinwalkers. We don't call them tweakers. We call them skinwalkers.
Oh, shoot.
Dude, we were driving home one time. This guy was like bent over in half on the bridge, just standing like he was touching his toes. And my partner and I were just driving, and we were just like, what is that skinwalker doing? It's a full moon tonight. And we think about him a lot because we've never seen him ever again.
Yikes. Yikes, man. Shout outs to all the skinwalkers out there, man. Rest in peace. Hey, we praying for you. Besides you, who is the emotional center of your life and why?
Emotional center of my life. Oh, man. I mean, can I lump together my 2 kids and my wife? I mean, that's just what I think about all the time. Just, especially now, you know. I'm just getting tired. A lot of my decisions are just like, nah, I want to go home.
Is it more of like you miss home? Like it's like you rather be home?
I would much rather be home. In the last year, like it really just kind of came to a, you know what? Yeah, when I close the bar and I'm taking my partner Milo home, I might stop and have a beer with him at his house. But now it's just like, I'd rather just be home.
Rather be home.
You know, going camping, I'd rather would have been home. I went to Sam's wedding down in Temecula, and it was like 8 o'clock, and I was like, I love you, Sam, but I really want to be home. And it's because my family's there, you know, and even though I come home and I'm tired and I'm beat to shit and, you know, I might not be my best self, it's just like that's where I want to be. I want to be on the couch with my sons. You know, my wife, if whether she's on the couch watching the TV with me or I know she's in the bedroom and she's finally being able to relax and I could just have a drink and just, it's done, it's quiet, I'm home.
What's I think this is a good question. What's a mistake you've made that affected your life for the better?
Oh, for the better. It's kind of hard, man. A lot of the mistakes I made were terrible. I think getting hired at the brewery, it was definitely a mistake because it turned me into like this like drinking monster. Because it's easy now. I mean, I could just beer does not very much to me, but it did make my life better because obviously it gave me that sense of security that I have this extra income to provide. Now I am a bigger part of this place. Now I have these deeper connections, these more outstretched connections too. I mean, you know, it was a total mistake walking into the bar as a customer and then becoming like a regular there and then eventually chopping it up with the owners and then they hired me. It was just like total happenstance, but I would call it a mistake because, you know, it's the source of a lot of my pride and how I think I will succeed, but it's also the source of a lot of my dismay. You know, and just, dude, bar life's terrible. You know, make a lot of selfish decisions, and you know, you start boozing. You think you're cool. You go out after working all day. You know, and you end up just talking to so many people and wasting so much time and money. And it is kind of, you know, being a barfly is not like cool. It's leads to a lonely life.
So then oh man, this is crazy. I didn't plan this, okay? Final question.
All right.
If you had 3 years left to live, what would you be doing differently?
I would sell my house, hopefully at a profit, take the money. Even if it was nothing, just something that I could set aside for my kids. And I would just try to do what my wife and I plan to do and open a little bed and breakfast.
Yo.
I would just immediately, just like, if I knew I only had 3 years left to live, and that's a dream that my wife and I talked about a lot. So every year we go up to the Angeles Mountains, Lake Elizabeth, for a cabin trip. We do it with Sam. We do it every year in December. So, I'm looking forward to it. That's my vacation. Mm. And every time we come down, my wife's just like, dude, if we could just like get a little piece of property here and open like a little bed and breakfast and make it just like the cabin we go to, she's like, that's the dream. If I only had 3 years left to live, I would just step back from the brewery. I'd sell my shares. I would step out of Burnell. I would sell my house. I would just like, dude, when I bought my house, I sold toolboxes, guitars. I almost sold my truck. I did everything I could to do that. So if I only had 3 years left to live, I would make that dream happen for her. I would just like do anything it took to make it happen, to have that little bed and breakfast, because I would enjoy it for the last 3 years of my life, and I would make sure that it was established enough that she could continue to do it. And Fox, my son, you got to edit out Fox. Okay. Do it again. My oldest son, he's always like, oh, I would love if we had a restaurant, as a family, Bob's Burgers.
Love it.
So that would be like the goal, would to just have that thing established and done. And then at the end of that 3 years, just make sure that my 14-year-old son, my 3-year-old son, and my wife were just set up. Even if it meant just like totally going down to nothing. That's what I would want to do.
Mr. Cole Mendez, we really appreciate the fact that you took the time to kind of explain your story and who you are and where you come from a very kind of old friend. You learn so much about someone, you have no clue, what someone goes through. And I just have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you.
I do, sincerely. It's not like you were dealt with all the cards and you knew the play, but man, just the perspective of you being able to go from being 18, getting married, having a child, to owning a piece of a company and buying your own house. Man, you should be, man, like, my friend, there's a lot of mistakes people make, okay? But they don't have that. You should be so proud, and I'm very proud. And
thank you.
I'm just grateful to have heard this, and I've learned so much. Yeah, to everyone out there, this is a really good moment for you to understand kind of just like the journey of people's souls, and that's kind of why we do this, to archive as much lives as possible so that people can learn, but also because it allows us as a community to help us achieve goals. That's the whole goal of this, is so that we can get the community together to help us achieve common goals that we want to set up and want to do. And if we work together and we'd be able to, get closer to those dreams and closer to what, if we add more value to each other's lives, and everybody can eat,
Yeah.
And that's kind of the main focus. And, I just want to, just take the time to say I thank you for coming through and joining us and sharing all this. It means a lot.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. Had me crying there a couple times.
Yeah. Dude, I was tearing up too. I was like, holy shit. To everyone who joined us, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us on the chats, and this means a lot for everyone. And we're gonna end it tonight. So join us on the next episode. Again, we do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for hey, if I return, we got to talk about the party story.
Oh no, we got a lot of things.
We got to talk about the cabin.
Oh well, you're absolutely returning. Yeah.
And you guys got almost crying Cole.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna get I can't stop laughing Cole.
Let's get it. To everyone, have peace, have love, have happiness even after death. Good night, guys.